hello and welcome back to southern Spain, Andalusia and the Circuito de Jerez and Angel Nieto. It really is a fine setting for a fine weekend of racing here in the FIM CEV Repsol Championship. Here's the track. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the layout. 4.4 kilometers in length, 5 left turns and 8 right turns, and it's a track that's provided plenty of drama already today, already this weekend, and in the past too. 15 laps await the Hawkers European Talent Cup riders. The race is coming in about 15 minutes time. After a pretty cloudy morning, it has to be said, the sun is now starting to shine and the weather is getting warmer by the minute. Here in Jerez, we're expecting temperatures to rise up into the 30-degree area. As we see a nice little shot, the Circuito de Jerez. The FIM CEV Repsol Championship's been coming here for many years. The Grand Prix scene have also been coming here for many years, and there we see a nice little statue in honour of 3-time world champion and a beloved Spaniard, Dani Pedrosa.
Certainly, Michael. Yeah, Dani Pedrosa, really an icon of Spanish Grand Prix racing. As we look back and see what happened yesterday in Hawkers European Talent Cup.
Yeah, so 2 races faced the Hawkers European Talent Cup riders yesterday, and it's safe to say there was plenty of drama. Zonta Van Den Goorbergh started from pole, but it was that man, the number 95 of Marco Morelli, who got into the lead with teammate Angel Piqueras just behind, and your championship leader, the number 80, David Alonso, was always lurking, wasn't he? There's Marcos Ruda on the white bike, white and red and bike. There's Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, the number 84 there, the Dutchman, looked supremely strong in both races yesterday. He and David Alonso had a great scrap out front, and it all came down to the last lap, and we saw plenty of riders exceeding track limits, and that was going to prove costly for some riders on the last lap. The long lap went to the number 44, Hugo Milan. Shakes his head there, but couldn't do anything about it as Zonta Van Den Goorbergh rounded the final corner. The team of Celebrity boys cheering on Angel Piqueras and Marco Morelli. This was the last lap, no, not quite, as a lead group of 5 formed, and it was really a fantastic battle in the European Talent Cup, as it always is. That was race 2 yesterday. Race 1 saw Zonta Van Den Goorbergh cross the line first, and that saw Zonta Van Den Goorbergh cross the line 5th as Marco Morelli, the number 95 right there on your screen, won his first race, and he'll be aiming to do the same under the Spanish sun here in Jerez on Sunday. There you see the weather forecast track, temperature 27 degrees, air 24, partly cloudy, but it is starting to clear. It was a pretty overcast morning, wasn't it? We arrived to the circuit at about 8:30. Sun was shining, but there was a few ominous clouds in the air, but they seem to have pretty much cleared now, especially from what we can see in our commentary box, and wind just slightly up from yesterday. It was about 4 miles per hour yesterday. It's 7 now. That shouldn't make too much a difference to the riders. There's the 12+1, the late great Angel Nieto. He was, of course, immensely popular in these parts, a terrific motorcycle racer. And of course, the Circuito de Jerez is aptly named after him now. And the Hawkers European Talent Cup boys are making their way round to the grid and are on the grid.
Yep, and of course, Angel Nieto famous for riding some of the smaller bikes in Grand Prix racing history, and these bikes really are tiny.
So here we go then, we're going to hear from
Hello, I'm Alvaro
Romeo Sandoval and Alvaro Carpe.
I'm a Hawkers rider. This is my first year in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, and I'm trying to be the best rider. In the race, I'm going to try to win the race. It's very difficult, but I think that I can do it.
Hello, my name is Romeo Sandoval. I am 30 years old and I am rider of European Talent Cup. One day I will be a smart market.
Great to hear them there from Romeo Sandoval and Alvaro Carpi. Like they said, hopefully aiming one day to replicate 8-time world champion Marc Marquez, and I'm sure we'll see a few of these guys on the MotoGP grid in a few years' time. I mentioned him at the start of the show, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. He crossed the line first in race 1 yesterday, Jack, but unfortunately exceeding track limits on the last lap demoted him to second there, you can see on your screen, and then the last corner wasn't too kind to him in race 2 and he crossed the line 5th after leading, or being an ever-present figure at the lead of the pack.
Yeah, it certainly feel as though he deserves at least one race win from yesterday, and of course in that second race as well, he pretty much deserved the race win as well. Here's Angel Piqueras. He went pretty well yesterday, ended up with a 7th and a 5th in the end. A 4th, sorry, I do apologise. He was in that lead pack for both races and just struggled a little bit to make his presence known right at the head of it, possibly just getting caught up in some battles and losing a little bit of time. But expect him to be right at the sharp end again, as well as his teammate, number 95, Marco Morelli, who's just appeared on screen now, putting his helmet on, getting ready to go. He, of course, picked up his first Hawkers European Talent Cup victory yesterday, and it was an absolutely cracking move to get 2 of them on the final corner to go for P1. A little bit up and down this year, but certainly he's got the pace to be at the head for every single race.
Yeah, Marco Morelli. I got slightly confused during the highlights. Thought we were going to see both races. In race 1, he did crash on the last lap at turn 6 out of the podium and race victory fight. So that was a disappointing race 1 for Morelli, but he made up for it in race 2, didn't he? Like Jack said, a cracking move at the final corner saw him take his maiden win, and he's now up to P4 in the championship standings. Marcos Ruda, the number 69 rider, he's had numerous top 10s this year. Was in the lead group in the open exchanges, just lost touch in the latter stage of race 2 yesterday to finish 9th, but starting from P4 on the grid, Marcos Ruda is going to be an ever-present figure once again. The Team Honda Laglice rider, and alongside him on the grid is this man, Juan Rodriguez, the number 38. He finished P8 and P8 yesterday, so he's had steady progress from Estoril. There you can see a crash in race 1, 10th, 9th, 2 8ths. So he'll be hoping to go better than that in race 2, but he's going to have a job on his hands because there's all sorts of riders on this grid. It really is packed full of young talent.
Yeah, you just saw there a man that's well known in the motorcycle racing world, Paolo Simoncelli, watching over his rider. We see on screen Harrison Voigt, the Australian. A little bit of a difficult day, shall we say, even though he picked up his first podium of his ETC career yesterday with P3 in that first race after the last lap track limit shenanigans. In the second race, he dropped all the way back to 18th. We're not really too sure whether it was just they maybe went the wrong way on bike setup or something, but he started in that lead pack and then just couldn't seem to keep the pace with them, and all the way back to 18th, as we said. So certainly he'll be looking to make amends for that disappointing second race for him yesterday and go a little bit better and try and be in that podium fight once again.
Yeah, it was a strange day for the Australian, wasn't it? Like you say, Jack. P3 in race 1 was a cracking result, and then dropping down to P18. Not sure what happened there, but now we turn our attention to David Alonso. As we've mentioned before, he crossed the line second in race 1, but due to Zonta Van Den Goorbergh exceeding track limits on the last lap, that promoted David Alonso to P1, and that was his 4th victory of the season, and then he was eventually dethroned in race 2 to finish second, but He is storming away with this championship at the moment. 120 points from a possible 125 to start the season. And this is his teammate, Izan Guevara. He's third in the championship. Bit of an up and down season, really, as you can sort of see there from the results. We mentioned this yesterday quite a lot, Jack. He is a lanky figure on this small European Talent Cup Honda. We saw him in the Red Bull Rookies, didn't we? And he performed very well there. On a slightly bigger KTM machine, he looked more at home, if you ask me. And this is the opposite, really. Alvaro Carpe is very small and suits this European Talent Cup bike very well. We heard from Alvaro, of course, just a few moments ago, and I've got to say his English is very, very good for 13-year-old.
Yeah, certainly
Puts
better than our Spanish.
Shame.
Yeah, much better than our Spanish. Actually, Izan Guevara, just as interviewed him earlier, he came over to me before the interview and he asked me what the English was for one of the Spanish words, and I said, sorry mate, I don't know. So unfortunately I couldn't help him there. But as we see the grid being cleared, so we're getting ready to go. We will be underway in just a few minutes. So yeah, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh just getting in the zone, ready to go again and try to pick up a victory. As we see here, Marco Tapia, he goes from the head of row 4 in 10th place. Tapia, it was an interesting one yesterday, 15th and 11th. He was in that lead group at the start, but then just never seemed to really be able to go with them. And the first race obviously improved from the first race to the second race. So hopefully he can make another step here and get back into that lead fight, which we saw him in the 2 previous rounds. Yeah, in Portimao, he was an ever-present figure, wasn't he? He was making some tremendous moves up over the brow of the hill into turn 10, I think it is, in Portimao at the top of the circuit. So, and of course, we have to point out they did receive a long lap penalty as well. Yes, he did, yeah. So he needs to be less of a naughty boy today and keep it on the black stuff rather than the green stuff, and he'll be all right. Yeah, so I think we're going to see the grid as we get set for the only race in the European Talent Cup here on Sunday for round 4 of the FIM CEV Repsol Championship, and it's Zonta Van Den Goorbergh from pole from Angel Piqueras and Marco Morelli, your race 2 winner yesterday. Ruda, Rodriguez and Harrison Voigt go from row 2 with championship leader Alonso, his teammate Ortola and Alvaro Carpe on row 3. Yeah, and as we say, Marco Tapia is heading up that row 4 with Noah Detweiler, Adrian Cruces, then Alberto Ferrandez, Hugo Milan and Julio Garcia in 15th from Jacob Ron Ralston, Colin Vaya and Casey O'Gorman in 18th. Row 7 is headed by Sandoval from Sacco and Farioli. Row 8 is Garcia, Volpi and Charil. Row 9 is Mayer, Ton and Trias. And then just behind them on row number 10, it is Almanacil, Bernal and Scott from Powelek, Perrin and Misera, with Plonk, Jigalov and Pashuk on row 12. Then on row 13, it's Quintan Sands and the Canadian Collins who complete the grid as we get set. I thought someone was just being wheeled off there, but I think it was just a late starter motor being taken away. I think it was, yeah, the 658 boys. They were just helping Matteo Volpi to get going a little bit there. So then the warm-up lap is underway, the sun is shining, and we're all set for another cracking Hawkers European Talent Cup race here in the ref. I put my money on, well, not actual money, but I put my faith in Zonta Van Den Goorbergh at the start of race 1 yesterday, Jack, when you asked me. He did cross the line first, but I think he's going to be making amends today, and he's actually going to take the full 25 points if you're asking me for a prediction. Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think Zonta, even though David Alonso won that first race yesterday, I think Zonta looked much stronger in the race in total. He really looked as though he could just sit at the front of the group and command it, not be too concerned with whatever anyone else is doing, and just seem to be just that little bit stronger than everyone else. I don't know what it was, he just had something about him yesterday, and I hope he's got that same something about him today. Yeah, I totally agree, and both races yesterday were absolutely excellent, as we see a reminder of the track temperature, 27 degrees, 24 ambient temperature. The breeze, probably quite a relief actually to the riders, getting a little bit of a breeze, not too much, as we complete the warm-up lap here for round 4. Yeah, you certainly don't want too much of a breeze with these small little Honda European Talent Cup bikes. a little bit of a headwind down the back straight would certainly cost them some kilometres as they come into the speed trap there. But there you go, as you see, the championship standings really has been the story of one man, David Alonso. He's been a little bit more challenged this weekend, but we see that still he has a 41 point over Alberto Ferrandez, the number 54, his closest championship rival.
Yeah, Ferrandez, we didn't mention him on the grid, and that's because he's down in 13th place, the European Talent Cup rookie, but watch out for him because he was a P5 and P3 finisher yesterday, and that championship lead for Alonso extended to, like you say, Jack, 41 points. So Ferrandez really needs to beat Alonso today to try and close that gap down before the riders head over to Aragon. And there is the number 84, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. Will he pick up his first European Talent Cup win? It looked like he could do it yesterday. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for the Dutchman, but maybe today is his day. Just watch for Tapia. He's not quite as far back as he was in both races yesterday. We saw the number 13 just roll up to the grid a good 10 seconds after all the riders were sat waiting to go. I think he was just a little bit ahead now. So revs are up, green flag waves, the red lights come on, and we're underway on Sunday here in the European Talent Cup. And I think it's a great start from Marco Morelli from P3 on the grid. It absolutely is. He's got the inside line. It looks like both Team Australia Galicia boys, no, just Morelli passes on to Van Den Goorbergh into turn one with Piqueras. That's close. Who's that gone down? Turn one drama is always likely here. The number 37. Who's that running into? It's a Cuna de Campione's machine. Can't quite work out who that is, but turn one drama here in the European Talent Cup.
So number 37 is Casey O'Gorman, the man that's been doing pretty well in the British Talent Cup this year. I think he's actually won all the races so far. So unfortunate for Casey O'Gorman, he's crashed out at the start. I think he was 18th on the grid. So back to the front then, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh looks as though he's already trying to make a move on Marco Morelli, race 2 winner from yesterday, down into turn 6. No, not quite. Well, actually, yeah, he's going to go for it. Just tips it in towards the apex, and he's up into the lead.
Yeah, shame for Casey O'Gorman, the Irishman, that he's been great in the British Talent this season. Not sure what that beep was in my ears, but yeah, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, great on the brakes into turn 6. He looked superior on the brakes yesterday, didn't he, Jack? We mentioned it in the show. And again, he proved he's fantastic going down into the hard braking zones. And he now leads on lap 1 from Marco Morelli, your race 2 winner from yesterday. Good start from the number 95. And Ruder has made his way up into third from the second row of the grid, I should say. Let's have a look where David Alonso is. He's in 5th, so another good start for your championship leader with Izan Guevara. You'll see the lanky number 48, he runs wide already. Got to watch out for that because that disrupted the race results in race 1 of round 3 on Saturday. That was David Alonso going up to 4th, so he's making good progress as the number 80, but it's Zonta Van Den Goorbergh who leads round on lap 1 with 14 laps to go.
Yeah, and just a little quick check-up on Alberto Ferrandez. He's up into P8. I think he's just dragged past Noah Detweiler on the straight. Yes, he has. So he's up into P8, now chasing down this lead group as his teammate Juan Rodriguez turns over his shoulder, and we'll see a faceful of his teammate Alberto Ferrandez just behind him. So Ferrandez is coming for these lead guys, and we were just saying yesterday as we were just recapping the day's things over some food and a beer last night that he's a scrapper. He really is. He gets the best out of every single situation. He's had 4 podiums out of 5 races this year, and it's always been from kind of not brilliant grid positions. So he's certainly one that races well.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and he'll be hoping to get into this league group like he has done, and that's the number 54 there at the back of your screen, just behind his teammate, number 38 of Juan Rodriguez, who makes a move up the inside of Angel Piqueras, who was passed by Ivan Ortola, just getting on our screen. So the rider, number 44, that is Hugo Milan. He got a long lap penalty yesterday, and now he's got 2 long lap penalties today for jumping the start. Not good for Hugo Milan. He's currently down in 27th place. So we just saw a replay of Tajiri Seko. So that was the Cuna de Campione's machine who was involved in the turn 1 incident.
Yeah, it looks like it was Tapia as well, also got sat up out the seat. And unfortunately, Casey O'Gorman was the only one that actually bit the dust on that one. So big shame for Casey, as he was looking to do great things and improve on his 21st place from yesterday. But back to the front, and it looks like Zonta does go into the lead underneath Marcos Ruda. And this group, well, they've all closed up again now. It's a group of about 12, I do believe. 11th down to Harrison Voigt on the 658 Squadra Corse machine.
Yeah, so there you just saw the marshals holding out. Long lap penalty for number 44. Well, 2 long lap penalties, in fact, for number 44. So Hugo Milan, unfortunately, for the man in 25th place, that really is race over. There you can see the bottom of the screen is just confirmation of that. The back of the front, and it's Marcos Ruda leading from Zonta Van Den Goorbergh now, and that's David Alonso in 3rd, followed by Izan Guevara. So the 2 Openbank Aspar riders are making very good progress from row 3 in the grid, just as they did in race 1 and 2 yesterday. I think we're going to just focus in on the number 40 Hugo Milan. There he goes in the yellow helmet past your screen. There he is on the red machine. So yeah, another unfortunate day for Hugo. He's got 2 long lap penalties, we say, for jumping the start.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for Hugo, because as we're probably just going to see a replay of, you see him right in the middle of the screen there, number 44 with the bright yellow helmet. Yeah, he definitely does jump that one, rolling before they go, and he knew it straight away as well, just shook his head a tiny bit. So he's getting pretty friendly with that long lap penalty lane. By the time he's taken his 2 today, that will be 3 he's taken over the weekend here. So unfortunate for him. But back to the front, this group, they're still all close, and it actually seems that Alvaro Carpe, and I think that was one of the Andalusia Motor Talent team bikes. I'm not too sure which one that was. I think it's Roberto Garcia possibly just bringing up to the back of them. So this group of 11 is now coming to a group of about 14 or 15.
Yeah, so at the back is number 83 Carpe in 12th. And yeah, like you say, Jack, they're not far behind Filippo Fariolo, number 7, and Roberto Garcia, number 31 in 13th and 14th, as the race leader Zonta Van Den Goorbergh says stick behind me, but I don't think that, well, actually, you saw the number 69 there of Ruda just open his legs to act as like a windbreak, and that's ultimately cost him 2nd place as Izan Guevara slides through and David Alonso follows his teammate through. So I think Ruda was sort of listening to Zonta Van Den Goorbergh there, because Ruda obviously knows Van Den Goorbergh's got great pace around here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, but obviously it looked like he opened his legs up to try and act as a windbreak so he doesn't pass into turn 1. But as you can see there, the Openbank Aspar boys have proved that proved costly for Ruda.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting technique, and we all know that the throttle works both ways. Maybe you could have just rolled the throttle a tiny bit instead, but the technique of opening your legs up and doing a bit more wind resistance, we often see that in free practice with teammates as they're trying to tow their teammate round to a fast lap time down the straight, but certainly never seen it in a race. Anyway, Marcos Ruda still in that 4th place, just behind the top 3, as we see a trio of the Cuna de Campeones bikes all trying to charge through this pack now, just behind race winner from yesterday, Marco Morelli.
Yeah, so this is a familiar story. Ruda just has a look at Ortola there, not quite into turn 9 for the number 69, but he'll be determined to get those 2 places back. Yeah, it's a familiar story, isn't it? We saw the number 84 and the number 80 of Zonta Van Den Goorbergh and David Alonso leading from the front in races 1 and 2 yesterday at round 3, and they're doing the same again, as you just see. The number 24 has retired from the race, I think.
Yeah, that's Guillaume Plong. Yeah. So unfortunately, for any Guillaume Plong fans or family out there, number 24 has retired from this Hawkers European Talent Cup race here. So as we see, 11 laps to go as they cross the line now into turn 1. I thought David Alonso was maybe just going to go for a little dive at the inside there of Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. And once again, it is these 2 at the head of the pack. They've looked head and shoulders quicker, not quicker, but just a little bit more dominant than everyone else this weekend. They've really been able to just take it to the front pack and not be disturbed too much by anyone else. So certainly these 2, watch out for them trying to take the 1 and 2 positions again
who's that in the background? The number 12.
That was Ralston, was it?
Ralston, yeah, it is. And incidentally, he was the rider who set the fastest lap of the race. I was going to mention that, but he was out the seat there on the little, that scooter in the background threw me off there. I thought someone was running wide, but thankfully not. But yeah, Jacob Ralston's out the seat there, coming out of turn 4. He's the Leopard bike just on his own there at the back of your screen, coming into turn 6. So watch out for him as he set the fast lap of the race. But at the front, as we see,
It's a shame for Matteo Volpi.
Yeah.
Not too sure what's happened there. Possibly some technical issues. It doesn't look like there's too many scratches on the bike. So, yeah, maybe just some technical issues there with the 658 Squadra Corse Honda.
Yeah, we've just seen that pop up on our timing screen. 77 retired, so not the ideal way to end your Jerez weekend for Matteo Volpi and the 658 Squadra Corse team. But they've got another rider in this race, and his name is Harrison Voigt, and he is just in that group where you can see Alberto Ferrandez and Juan Rodriguez, the two Cuna de Campeones machines. There they are, as the top 5 riders now just break a little bit clear of the Cuna de Campeones trios. You see Fernandez backing it in there. I thought he was going to make a move up the inside of his teammate, but not quite this time round. And still, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh leading, as we say, Jack. He's looked very, very quick all weekend, and it has been these two, as you correctly mentioned before, that have been, we want to say far superior. They've not been far superior, but they've just looked more comfortable, haven't they? And obviously the riders like Morelli, who have just zoomed in on there, have got pretty similar pace to them, and were able to ruffle them up in the 2 races yesterday, and that's why we saw Morelli win. Of course, he showed pace as well, and he's showing pace here again, the fastest lap of the race. So once more, I don't think Zonta Van Den Goorbergh and David Alonso are going to have it all their own way, and that's a 49.5 for Morelli, but all the riders in the top 5 did set a 49.5.
We've just seen it pop up on our screens, and there you go. It does pop up on your screens as well. The number 55, and no, Detweiler's crashed, as I think that was Ortola getting his nose cleaned by his teammate there down into turn 6. So Detweiler's crashed. That's unfortunate for him. He was just at the back of this lead group. I think he was in 12th place before he crashed out. So big shame for Detweiler, but he'll come back stronger to the next round in Aragon.
Yeah, big kick of the gravel there for Detweiler. He's obviously frustrated with that, as we see the number 10 of Adrian Cruces run wide. Can't do that too many times. I know we're repeating ourselves with track limits, but it really is. Ooh. Okay, so the number 7, that's Filippo Farioli, who's gone down, and he's on the side of the track. So
yeah, not sure
what's happened there. It's either contact with another rider or a high side out of.
If anything, I don't want to, say that it could be a high side because we didn't see what happened, but crashing that far out of the corner, it may well be. So hopefully Farioli is okay and the marshals can clear him and his bike from the track before the leaders come round to turn 6, which that was. So we'll keep an eye on it as we go through that section. As we look back, and Angel Bequeras is trying to take all 3 of the Cuna de Campeones bikes, but only gets 1 into turn 1.
Okay, this will probably be a red flag, and it is a red flag.
We do have a red flag.
It's Farioli on the ground there. Keep our fingers crossed, but yeah, the red flag is out. The riders will slowly make their way back round into pit lane.
Yep, so the marshals and medics will be attending to Farioli to check and make sure he's all okay. And when it's safe to do so, they will clear him from the circuit so we can begin to prepare to go racing again. So not too sure what happened. It looked like he just lost the rear and it gripped back up, and yeah, a vicious high side over the top. So thankfully he's able to move himself out of the way. I think with the fact that he's moved himself, it's maybe just more winded.
At least that we're seeing him moving about, and he was able to get up on his feet. But yeah, that was a nasty high side coming out of turn 6. That would have knocked the wind out of his sails at least. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for Farioli that he's got nothing broken or no serious injuries, as yeah, the medics will.
That's good to see.
Tend to the scene.
Already moving him. So yeah. Obviously they wouldn't move him that quickly if anything was too serious. So good to see that Farioli is being moved already. But now it gives the riders time. Obviously they have to come round back into pit lane. They'll have a little chat with their mechanics and their team. See if anything wasn't to their liking with their setup. Maybe they can have a little bit of debrief with the way they rode the race, see if there's anything they can improve on, and then learn and study and go again for when this race does restart.
So with 9 laps to go, we'll wait for confirmation to see how many laps will be when we get restarted. But I think it'll be 9 or 10 laps when we do get the restart, which means it's a sprint race for these European Talent Cup riders. And yeah, like you say, Jack, it's going to be a time for the riders to come in, have a little bit of a debrief, a little bit of a breather, regather their thoughts, and it's a good restart if you're now Alberto Ferrandez's shoes, because he was just off the leading group.
Yeah,
seeing his main championship rival, David Alonso, that man there, sit at the front. So what we also should mention is the grid will be formed on the last completed lap of the race. So we'll get confirmation for that as soon as we get it. For now, we'll hope Farioli is okay and he's being attended to by the medics and he'll receive top-level treatment from the guys.
Yeah, you just saw there on your screen, David Alonso just taking on a few sips of water. I imagine just getting his hydration back up. Obviously, it's 24, 25 degrees here. It's not as scorching as what it has been in the past few weeks or even the past few days, but it is still frighteningly hot when you're out there riding one of these motorcycles in full leathers and protective gear.
Yeah, when we were walking the track yesterday, it was about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and it was very warm to say the least.
Yeah.
It really is like a cooker pressure in Jerez. It's surrounded by hillside and there's just no shade, is there? There's no getting away from the sun unless you're in the garage.
So obviously on our screens here, this is just Izan Guevara down into turn 1. You see he's just all knees and elbows, isn't he? Kind of reminds me of Ben Spies. Obviously, he had the nickname of Elbows because he was just all limbs everywhere, wasn't he? Quite a lanky man on the motorcycle. But yeah, Guevara certainly quite big for these European Talent Cup machines.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually he wasn't drafted into the Moto3 Junior World Championship for 2020 because he was lanky last year, and obviously he's just going to continue growing as a young teenager. So I'm sure the Openbank Aspar team will be moving him up the ranks because, like we said, he looked right at home on a Moto3 bike in the Red Bull Rookies Cup races over in Austria.
Yeah, he certainly did look at home. You know, certainly one of these guys that when he does go up to Moto3 Junior World Championship and hopefully in the future to the World Championship, he will be one of those guys that just is at the front straight away. Yeah, he's looking really impressive, and we were just saying about it yesterday as we were watching the highlights, just kind of making our notes for today, that it's just as soon as he gets on the straight, he can't do anything because he's that little bit bigger, a little bit heavier than everyone else. And when someone like Marcos Ruda, who's tiny, a little pocket rocket, gets onto the straight and gets the thing hooked up and driving, he just can't do anything. He can't defend on the straight. They've got 5-6 kilometers an hour extra in top speed over him. So, yeah, certainly having to make his time on the brakes and use his big levers and direction changes to make up his time.
Yeah, he's really up against it, isn't it? Montella down the straights. Thankfully for the young Spaniard, Jerez isn't known for having long straights. There's obviously the back straight down into turn 6, which is a nice little run, and then up to turn 1, 2, and we'll just inform you of the quick restart procedure that's just popped up on our timing screen. So pit lane will be open at a to be confirmed time for 60 seconds. It says race distance 5 laps.
Yeah, that is very spicy. Whoa. That's just going to be take your brain out and go for it. So, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a sprint race here. It's like the MotoGP 20 game, the 5-lap race. Just get the whole shot and see if you can hang on for those 5 laps. So, yeah, certainly some of these guys that are good at starting, they're going to be looking at this and thinking, I can do quite well here. So, certainly Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, if he can get that start again, as we just see it come up on our timing screens, that grid positions will be based as of the standings of lap 5. So that was the last completed lap before the red flag came out. So it looks as though it will be Zonta Van Den Goorbergh on pole from David Alonso, Izan Guevara on the front row, with Marcos Ruda, Marco Morelli and Adrian Cruchez making up the second row.
Yeah, there's Marco Tapia looking at the timing screens alongside team manager. He'll be launching from, I can't actually see, he's 19th is Marco Tapia, so not the best of starts for the Leopard rider.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, 5 laps is a tantalising prospect, isn't it? I was expecting it to be maybe 7 or 8 laps. Obviously, we're on a time schedule here in Jerez, so that's probably the main reason why the race distance has been cut from the 10 laps that were remaining in the race before the red flag came out, and now it's down to 5. So that really is
Yeah.
a proper sprint race for these European Talent Cup riders in Jerez.
Yeah, this could be 5 of the most action-packed laps you will see in your life. All these young riders, they're certainly not short on excitement and entertainment value, so they'll be pretty keen to make amends for any positions lost in the first part of the race and make up a few more. In well, probably turn 1, you might see a few people just trying to brake extremely late, as they do only have 5 laps to make their way to those front positions.
This means that the opening couple of laps, and especially the start for some of the riders, is absolutely crucial. David Alonso will be lining up second, so that's good for him, and obviously Montella in third. They were on the third row and were able to make their way up to obviously second and third before the red flag came out. So you got to expect the 2 Openbank Aspar Team riders to be at the forefront if they get a good start. And Zonta Van Den Goorbergh didn't get the best of starts, but it wasn't a bad start by any means. The number 84, he'll go from pole once more. He'll be open to get the whole shot, and like Jack said, this could be 5 laps of some of the most exciting racing we've seen in a very long time, and we've not been short of exciting races in 2020, let alone over the past few years across European Talent Cup, the Junior World Championship, and of course the Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP World Championships. There you can see Jerez bathed in sunshine. The clouds are pretty much starting to clear. I think those clouds in the background over the hill have already passed. No rain clouds, so there's no threat of rain for the restart, of course. Coming up after this, there'll be the Moto2 European Championship riders, and then the second race of the day for the Moto3 Junior World Championship riders, as we see the 658 Squadra Corse box, of course, the late great Marco Simoncelli, led by father Paolo, as we mentioned in the show. There's Harrison Voigt just wiping the sweat off his brows and getting ready for what he hopes and what Australian fans hope will be another good race for the Aussie.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be applying the approach of send it. So, yeah, we'll see what Harrison Voigt can do. Obviously, he picked up that sensational podium yesterday, and going from 9th on the grid now, it's certainly a good time for him to try and go for a second one. Just going back to kind of what we were saying in the first part of the race there, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, the number 84, and number 80 of David Alonso. Really, it's quite hard to describe, as we just see it pop up on our screens. The message we've had on our timing screens for a little while, the quick restart procedure. Pit lane will be open for just 60 seconds. They've got to make sure they get out before that 60 seconds is up, otherwise they'll have to start. Back of the grid or pit lane? I think it's back of the grid, isn't it?
Yeah. And
the grid positions will be based on the standings of lap 5 with a 5-lap sprint. Oh, this could be good. But anyway, back to David Alonso and Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. It's hard to describe what we've seen from them this weekend. It's just they've got the stuff. They've just been yeah, just difficult to describe. They've just had that little advantage over everyone else. Just look comfortable, confident, and not particularly much quicker, but that kind of 1/10 where they can just hold it in reserve and just go and create a tiny little gap to get themselves out of trouble.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jack. We were here on Friday, obviously, for qualifying, and we saw the times, and we saw David Alonso down in 7th, and we were like, okay, so he's not going to have it all his own way here in Jerez, but he's made his way up to the lead group in the race as we expected him to do. And yeah, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh and David Alonso have been the 2 riders who have been most impressive this weekend, but we can't forget Marco Romero as well, because in race 1 yesterday he came from about a second down and slammed in a couple of fastest laps of the race, and unfortunately crashed out at turn 6, but then in race 2 he made amends and won the race, of course, as you saw at the final corner. As the riders now get ready, we've still not got a time for when pit lane will open, and just in case you aren't aware, the quick restart procedure will be the riders will come out of their pit garages, get out of pit lane within the 60-second window, They'll go round to the grid where one of their team members will be standing. They'll have a quick check to see everything's all right, a quick good look, and then they'll be off on their warm-up lap. So it's not the normal start procedure that we'll see, so we won't be waiting too much longer for the riders to out and back on track, and the guys just putting their gloves on, getting ready. And again, we'll send our best wishes to Farioli, and I think by the sounds of it, we're going to get some action underway shortly.
Yeah, hopefully. We just saw the two Hawkers Finette Arrow work. I'll try that one again. Two Hawkers Finette Work Arrow team riders of Carpe just getting ready there. So shortly we should be having some action back out on track. We still don't have a time, as Elliot just said, and we will update you as soon as we do have it. As here is the number 17 of Torrin Collins, the Canadian. Actually took part in the British Talent Cup last year as well.
Yeah, he was 15th in last year's British Talent Cup. He scored a best of 11th at Snetterton, where the British Superbike riders have just been. He sees himself on screen, gives a little wave.
Seems to be pretty happy and smiley. Two waves at the camera there, so big wave back at Torrin. I hope you're ready to go for it in this race. Where's he lining up on the grid? He's down at 32nd on the grid for this one, so just at the back, but certainly Torrin will be hoping to improve and just start to learn as much as he can. And obviously this class, the level is so high. You know, there's national champions and race winners all throughout the field. So it's certainly one class where you come to it and you know you're not going to be a big hit immediately unless you are the next big cheese in motorcycle racing. So yeah, certainly Torrin just trying to learn as much as he can. As we do see the grid places coming out, we'll update those grid positions for you once we do know it officially.
Yeah, just touching on Collins again. Obviously coming from Canada and then racing on the British scene, he's not going to be accustomed to I'll put my teeth in.
Yeah,
tracks like Jerez, as it just flashes up on our timing screens that we'll get the quick restart procedure. Pit lane will be open at 12:32 local time, so that's around about 5 minutes. Yeah, Collins won't be used to tracks like Jerez, and there's obviously quite a lot of Spanish riders and European riders at this level who will be more accustomed to these sorts of tracks. So, yeah, it's just a learning experience for Torrin Collins. He's still young and he's obviously got a fair bit of talent, so we'll be hopefully seeing him at the forefront in the not too distant future.
Yeah, so you can see that ticker on your screens there, just confirming everything. 60 seconds pit lane will be open for. So we see the 1,000-yard stare of Alberto Ferrandez. He certainly, he's got a cracking appearance through the helmet, hasn't he? He just sort of, it looks like it's all business, as we see him there actually just having a bit of a laugh with his mechanic, but certainly Alberto Ferrandez. And he's coming through from about the 3rd or 4th row, so there'll be some big moves coming from him. As we said, he is a proper little scrapper, you know. He's certainly been making the most of every situation that's been in front of him in this European Talent Cup this year, and it's why we've seen him, you know, second in the championship now, because he's just been consistent. He's just been a class above a lot of the other guys that have kind of had one good race here, then maybe struggled, been off the pace, or had a small little tip-off, whereas he's just been plodding along, going about his own business, picking up podiums.
Yeah, Ferrandez is in his rookie year, and out of the 5 races they've competed in, he's finished 3rd, 2nd, 5th and 3rd. So that really is something to shout about for Alberto Ferrandez. And we look at his teammate, Juan Rodriguez. He had a good start. In the race before it was red flagged, he'll line up just ahead of Ferrandez on the grid in 7th place, and then ahead of them is fellow Cuna de Campiones machine of Adrian Cruz. So they're in 6th, 7th, 8th. So we get some wildlife.
We do have some fans here. So yeah, we got a little lizard just lying there. He's
we need Matt Dunn to let us know what this is. I know it's not a bird, but
yeah,
our friend and colleague from Dornewall, big wildlife expert, isn't he? So
yeah,
if you're listening, Matt, try and let us know what it is.
I'm sure we'll get a message from Matt at some point. If he is listening, tell us we're all being idiots and it's actually some rare type of lizard, and we should know this. But anyway, I think we just saw the number 54 of Alberto Ferrandez and 38, his teammate Juan Rodriguez, just being swapped around on the grid there. If we look at the numbers, we can see that it will be Zonta on pole from David Alonso and Izan Guevara, with a 69 and Marcos Ruda in 4th, then Borelli and Cruces on number 10. So Zonta looking pretty cool, calm and collected. We got still just 2 minutes until pit lane will open. So I'm sure he'll be taking final few deep breaths and a little couple of sips of water.
He looks fairly chilled there, doesn't he? Just sitting back in his chair. Just
he is always chilled, isn't he?
Yeah. Here's a replay of just a little bit earlier on. There's Marcos Ruda banging it down the gears.
Yeah, very late on the
turn
brakes.
1. I think he made the move stick, to be fair to Ruda, so that was a good move.
Yeah, he certainly did.
Made the apex, so yep, good move from the 69, and then there's Zonta on the superb Honda European Talent Cup bike.
So the marshal's just heading to the end of pit lane. He will hold that red flag up until pit lane is open. As soon as you do that, you will see them all kick into life and come crawling out the garages and heading off down pit lane and out onto the track, all within the space of 60 seconds. So just 1 minute until pit lane is open here.
And they really do kick into life, don't they? These European Talent Cup bikes are probably louder than the Moto3 machines.
They're definite.
Just when you're in pit lane, it's absolutely incredible when the noise bounces off the pit garages and the grandstand just opposite the pit garages. It's absolutely deafening, and similar with the Moto3 bikes, they're also incredibly loud, but these bikes really do make a racket.
Yeah, you certainly don't expect it when you go stand next to one and you have a look at it, because they're works of art, these little bikes. They're so tiny and neatly packaged in, but then as soon as they put it on the starter motor, as you can hear them now all kick into life, it really does catch you off guard with how loud they are. Such a tiny little thing makes such a big racket. So momentarily, in about 15 seconds, that man will wave the green flag.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on the time, isn't he, with a little over 5 seconds remaining. All these boys will now head out onto the sighting lap. And as we say, come round, sit on the grid for probably around a minute just to get some final checks, given the all clear, and then we'll be off on the warm-up lap, and then we'll be racing in the next few minutes for a 5-lap dash. Hopefully you're as excited as we are, because this could be something special.
Yeah, this really could. Yeah, it's going to be an absolute cracker. 5 laps. We see in the last 5 laps of the 2 races yesterday that it was just all action. They were rehearsing overtakes, they were going for overtakes. I think at one point we just sat here wondering what was going to happen next. It's impossible to call.
That's good news. Crash Rider 7, that's Farioli, who we saw crash at turns and the exit of turn 6, which brought out the red flags. We'll get the news that Rider okay, so that's fantastic news as we get set to restart the race.
Yeah, great news seeing that Farioli is okay, a nasty looking high side. So thankfully it seems as though it's just a little bit of bruising and a bit of a stinger, or possibly on the leg or something like that. But yeah, good news, and we'll see him at the next round.
Certainly will. Beautiful blue skies here in Jerez. What's this replay going to be of? It's the crash that involved Farioli. They can see just the back of your screen, the number 7, a very heavy landing, wasn't it, onto his back, and
yeah, it looked like
that parts of his helmet paint.
Yeah, possibly off. Just the aero piece on the back of the helmet just snapped off there. So yeah, obviously hit his head pretty hard. Possibly that's just why he was a little bit sluggish to get going and get up. But good to see he's okay anyway. And now they're coming round to take to the grid. Well, they'll just have one final pat on the back from their mechanic, as you can see them all waiting patiently there. In about 20 seconds, all these guys will chuck their arms in the air and be waving to try and signal them. To signal all their guys to tell them which grid slot to go to.
So just a reminder then of your front row and the starting grid. It's Van Den Goorbergh on pole again, from David Alonso and Izan Guevara. Marcos Ruda will go from 4th, with Marco Morelli, your winner from yesterday, and Adrian Cruces are on the 2nd row in 5th and 6th. Then on row 3 in 7th is Juan Rodriguez and Alberto Ferrandez, the man 2nd in the championship, along with Harrison Voigt, who also got a podium yesterday. So there's 3 riders there on row 3 who will be trying to make up early positions, and they've not got long to do it. Like we say, just 5 laps face the Moto3 riders, the Junior World, the European Talent Cup riders. Maybe you should speak for the next minute, Jack.
So there we go, yeah. All the mechanics just giving a final little pat on the back. Good luck. We'll see you in 5 laps time, and hopefully with a trophy in hand. So this man's got it all to do again. Of course, he's always pretty cool, calm and collected, but you can forgive him from being a little bit annoyed that the race was stopped, as he looking like he was really in a rhythm, wasn't he? He was just out front. He was bringing David Alonso and even Ortola with him, but they couldn't really get close enough to him to be able to mount an attack and dive down the inside. So watch out for him in this race. He certainly had the pace all weekend long. He's been top 3 in terms of lap times, outright speed. So we're going to have pretty much 5 qualifying laps in a row here. So it could well be the number 84 that picks up his first win.
Yeah, this is going to be magnificent. So just looking at the championship standings, we mentioned Ferrandez was second. He's 41 points behind David Alonso, with Alonso starting second and Fernandez in 8th. Ferrandez has got plenty of work to do, with Ortola third, 61 off his teammates. So Alonso's dominance is clear to see. Finished second yesterday afternoon. That was his first non-P1 finish of the year. So in this 5-lap dash, the riders really have got to try and get the better of Alonso. We're going to find out soon enough if they can or cannot do it. But he's not had it all his own way like he did in Estoril and Portimao. The riders have bridged the gap to him, especially around this circuit. Anyway, we'll wait and see if Alonso's got the pace around Aragon on Valencia later on in the year.
Yeah, just looking at the grid that we've got coming up here just in a few moments. Marcos Ruda in 4th place is a really interesting prospect. He's been right at the front, and I mean like top 2 or 3 positions in the very early laps of these big group battles we've been seeing. So if he can get in and amongst it, there's certainly no reason as to why he can't maybe try and fight to pick up the first race win and even a podium. You know, he's one of these guys where towards the end of the race he just suffers a little bit and gets kind of beaten backwards. But Marcos Ruda, watch out for him heading up the second row, as well as Adrian Cruces at the back of the second row. He's been really quick in the first few laps, always makes up some good positions.
Yeah, the riders aren't going to have to worry about tyre wear. They're not going to have to worry about running out of fuel or anything like that. They've just got to go gung-ho for 5 laps around the Circuito de Jerez. And Hel Nieto, as Zonta Van Den Goorbergh pulls up to pole position, pumping his brakes, getting them warm for the dash into turn 1.
There's Tapia at the back, just taking his time as always.
Yeah, Tapia will line up 17th, so he's got work to do if he wants to fight for the top 10.
Yeah, it certainly does.
So then, the restart. 5 laps coming our way. The green flag waves at the back. The red lights will go on in the top left-hand corner. And we are go. And who gets a good start? I think Zonta Van Den Goorbergh got away well from Poland. It looks like Marcos Ruda from the second row of the grid gets away well as Morelli slots into third. And David Alonso didn't get away well from second. He drops down into 5th as Ortola makes his way past Ruda into turn 1, but it's Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. That's exactly the start the Dutchman would have wanted. He leads into turn 2 from Morelli, Ortola, Ruda and David Alonso. Not the start he would have wanted from second. He's down to 5th place, your championship leader. Yeah,
David Alonso really not a good jump off the line, just a little bit sluggish, not too sure whether he was just having a few problems there getting it off the line. But anyway, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, he's made the perfect start. And it's just popped up on our screens at no jump start. So it's a straight dogfight from here to the flag. Just 4 3/4 laps to go in this one, as Marco Morelli looks as though he's going to try slipstream Zonta down into turn 6 and see if he can get him on the brakes. There's the 2 Cuna de Campeones bikes of Ferrandez and Cruces. Watch out for those 2 as they try to get underneath, as I think Piqueras just looked up the inside. But it's all holding stations. We come through turn 6.
Yeah, Van Den Goorbergh there again showing how good he is on the brakes in turn 6. Morelli was right beside him up the inside, but Zonta just broke later around the outside and again taps the back of his machine and says, follow me, Marco, we can stride on and win this race at a canter, but it's not going to be that easy. But yeah, just looking at the championship again, Ferrandez has made a good start. He's now just 1 place behind Alonso. The number 80 there is Alonso, and the number 54 just behind him is Ferrando. So that's your top two in the standings, with Ortola in third, his third in the championship. But this is going to go down to the wire, as you can imagine. As Zonta Van Den Goorbergh there just touched the green, I think, so he's got to watch out for that. As Ortola makes his way up into second, good move there, down into turn 13 on Morelli. So it's Zonta Van Den Goorbergh then with 4 laps to go, leads from Ortola and Morelli. I think Morelli's just going to draft past Ortola on the straight. That's what we were saying earlier, Jack. Ortola can't get the power down as quick, but didn't suffer too much there. He broke later than Morelli and holds into turn 1.
Yeah, Alonso just pushed Marcos Ruda out a little bit wide there, and that's really not going to do him any favours. I think he's just going to hold off the second Campeones bike there. I think that was Adrian Cruces, yes. So Ferrandez has followed through Alonso into the top 5 now. See if these two can go after the top 3. As Ortola, I tell you what, I didn't expect this from Ortola. It's looking low. He's going to be the man to take it to Zonta out front.
Yeah, from what we saw, especially in race 2, Ortola was in the lead group in the opening stage and then just dropped back at the in the latter stages. So this 5-lap dash, so we've got 4.5 laps to go. This is probably going to suit Ortola as he looks up the inside of Van Den Goorbergh into turn 6. Not quite that time, and that's Angel Piqueras. I think that's the number 10 of Cruces, who he was moving up the inside, but Cruces are going to have the inside line and just shoves Piqueras outside. And I think Ferrandez there, the number 54, says thank you very much, but Cruces is back underneath his teammate. He's not thinking about the World Championship, is he? The Cunha Campione boy is not doing the number 54 any favours as David Alonso now regroups. He's into 4th place, past Marcos Ruda.
Yeah, and incidentally, this has been a terrible lap for Ferrandez after just saying at turn 2 that maybe he could go with David Alonso and take it to the top 3. He slipped back 4 positions from where he was at turn 2. So yeah, certainly Ferrandez has got a lot of work to do. We're going to have just 3 laps left as they cross the line this time. What does Zonta Van Den Goorbergh? Does he defend? No, not at all. He's just taking his own lines, making sure it gets a good exit out onto the straight, because you can guarantee that someone would be slipstreaming and looking down the inside.
Yeah, I just saw Ferrandez there coming out of turn 12. He was on the green stuff, so he won't be wanting to do that too many times. With now 3 laps to go as David Alonso makes a lunge up the inside of his teammate into turn 1, and that's a fantastic move from the number 80 championship leader, as all this squabbling behind has given Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, your race leader, just a little bit of a gap, a little bit of breathing space out front as he goes right and then switches left down into turn 3 and into turn 4. There's Marcos Ruda leading Angel Piqueras. As we mentioned, Angel Piqueras, he just sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:49.8. So he was the only man in the field to dip into the 1:49. So a great lap there from the Team Australia Galicia bike.
Yeah, interesting that Zonta was actually one of the slowest in this lead pack, but he is the man that does now have a 3/10 lead over the pack. So Alonso cannot afford to dilly-dally and wait around. He's got to get after him, but he needs to make sure that he does defend from his teammate, and also Morelli in the background. Of course, Morelli is the man that picked up the scraps and took that race win in the second race yesterday. So look for him trying to do the same.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on Marco Morelli, the number 95 there on the Australia Galicia bike, as he makes his way up the inside of Ortola into turn 9. A nice clean pass and a classic manoeuvre into the stadium section, but it's still Zonta Van Den Goorbergh who leads. We're just going to have 2 laps to go when they cross the line. They'll come through the fast right-hander of turn 11, then another fast right-hander of turn 12. It's a spectacular sight to watch them go full tilt through there, as the gap Zonta Van Den Goorbergh had a lap ago is diminished as Alonso is P2, and it's the same 2 riders at the front. It's Zonta Van Den Goorbergh leading David Alonso with Marco Morelli in 3rd, and there we'll just zoom in on Alberto Ferrandez. Where is he? He's P8, so with 2 laps to go, he's got some work to do to catch up on David Alonso.
That was close there. I think that was Piqueras that just got his nose cleaned well and truly at turn 1 by Adrian Cruces on the first of these Cunha Campeones bikes in this pack. Everyone running wide a little bit there at turn 2. Obviously some moves down the inside. But Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, that gap, as you say, Elliot, it has gone. It's down to 1/10.5, so basically nothing. You know, this one is all going to come down to the final lap for sure, and the final corner, I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, so coming now down the back straight into turn 6 for the penultimate time. Is anyone going to make a move into the Danny Pedrosa corner? Marco Morelli just moves out the slipstream to the outside. David Alonso tucked right in behind Van Den Goorbergh, but I don't think anyone's going to outbreak Van Den Goorbergh. No, they're not. I I thought Ortola was going to make a pass on Morelli there, but Morelli took the wide sweeping line round the outside and holds P3.
Yeah, certainly ambitious one from Morelli there, trying to hang it around the outside of the championship leader. Certainly David Alonso is no mug, and I don't think he's going to let Morelli try and do that one. It's interesting that, I think Morelli's just turned it tight. Is he going to get up the inside? No, he doesn't. He's actually going to get passed by Izan Ortola. So Ortola's come up. The man with the legs and elbows everywhere is now up into P3, and he's going after his teammate and Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be Zonta and look behind you, would you?
No, I don't think he'll be looking behind now, because there's little over a lap to go. And again, I just saw in the background, Ferrandez is obviously pushing to try and make moves into the top 5, but he ran wide again on the green. So that's at least 2 times I've seen that Ferrandez has ran wide. So here we go then, it's time for the last lap, and it's Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. He's led every lap of this 5-lap dash. He leads into the last lap from David Alonso and Izan Ortola. Will Alonso have a look at the inside? No, I don't think he will, because, as we've mentioned, Van Den Goorbergh is late on the brakes. That's tight between Piqueras and Cruces. The number 10 and the number... Oh, no, sorry, it was Marco Morelli on the number 95, getting close.
Yeah, Morelli's got some work to do now. He's down in 5th. But I tell you what, he's going to have to pass a fair few guys if he wants to get back anywhere near that P1 position by the time they come round to turn 13. So here we go then, we're on to the back straight for the final time. David Alonso is going to wind up that Openbank Aspar Team bike and try and launch down the inside at turn 6. He's a tiny little pocket rocket, but Zonta isn't so big himself, so I don't know who's going to be able to get the drag out here. I think Ortola actually might be getting the best slipstream of a lot of them, but David Alonso, he does go to the inside. So does Ortola. Oh, and Zonta just hangs it around the outside, covers him off, and stays in P2.
Okay, a fantastic move from David Alonso into turn 6, drafted Zonta Van Den Goorbergh down the straight, and I was mentioning Ferrandez's track limits. He's just had a drop 1 position on the last lap, so wherever Ferrandez finishes, he's going to finish 1 place behind. But this is anyone's game. This is anyone's game as David Alonso leads into the same section. It's quite wide. The 2 Australia Galicia boys passing, but it's David Alonso leading now through turn 10, so into turn 11 and 12. They're not really passing points, so this is all going to come down to turn 13. We go through turn 11 now. Van Den Goorbergh's quick through here. He's in the slipstream through turn 12, and here it is. The dramatic place on the Circuito de Jerez calendar. It's about 5 abreast into the last corner. Piqueras. Ferran, no, that's Cruces. Oh,
huge crash. Both the Australia Galicia talent team boys are down.
Who's going to win? So
Cruces as well. Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, he's going to come across the line. Can he hold on from Alonso to take his first win? He's going to be close. I think he just did it. Yes, he did it by 13 thousandths of a second. Van Den Goorbergh takes the win.
Oh, what a last lap, and what drama at turn 13 again. That was, I think 3 riders went down here. It was Cruces, Piqueras and Marco Morelli. We'll keep our fingers crossed that they're all okay. Oh, what last lap drama. Again, there's, I think that's Morelli coming across the line to take the flag, or was it Piqueras? I think it was Piqueras. But he is your race winner, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. He's done it. He is a race winner in the European Talent Cup in the 5-lap dash, and we knew there was going to be drama, and we knew it was going to come down to the last corner, but we unfortunately see 3 riders go down. 2 of the Team Australia Galicia talent team boys. Will keep our fingers crossed for, I think it was Adrian Cruces, who was on the floor. Catch your breath after that one. That was simply stunning. We knew it was going to be a battle to the end, and it all came down to last corner. They went in there 5 abreast, and Van Den Goorbergh emerged victorious. The top 9 riders were split by less than a second. Harrison Voigt finishing 9th. There's the number 70 of Tyler Scott. There's David Alonso, another 2nd place for the Colombian here in Jerez. He again extends his championship lead. That's another podium for the number 80, and it's another podium for Izan Ortola, his first since race 1 in Estoril, so it's a welcome return to the box for Izan Ortola. But there's your race winner, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh. His father Jürgen will be extremely proud. He was tweeting about how proud he was after he qualified on pole for the first time. Then Jürgen's going to be ecstatic, and so will Zonta Van Den Goorbergh with his maiden 25-point haul as the riders roll back into pit lane. There you see Alberto Ferrandez. He finished 7th. I think that includes the time, well, the drop 1 position penalty on the last lap. So Ferrandez finishes 7th. That's his worst finish of the season, but nevertheless, it's still a fantastic rookie season for Ferrandez. As Zonta pulls into pit lane, has a few words with his team members. David Alonso gets congratulations. And like I say, we'll keep our fingers crossed that Adrian Cruzes, who was one of the crashers at the final corner, is okay. The next race will be the Moto2 European Championship, and just getting confirmation that pit lane will be open at 1:05 local time, with the race starting at 1:20. So that race getting away in just under half an hour's time. There's Ivan Artola, and there is Adrian Cruzes lying on the floor at turn 13. I think we're going to get a replay of the crash now. Here we go into the final corner. There's Adrian Cruzes, who gets launched over the top. That's a nasty high side, and the Team Estrella Galicia boys also crashed out the final corner. It was always going to come down to turn 13, and all these young riders want to do is race and win, so you can't blame them for trying their hardest. They're here to enjoy themselves, and they're also here to try and win. And winning is exactly what Zonta Van Den Goorbergh did. David Alonso a little bit frustrated there not to win, but nevertheless at P2 is just reward for another fine weekend of racing for the Colombian. Artola across the line further with Julio Garcia finishing 4th. That's his best result of the season, and we'll be hearing from Zonta Van Den Goorbergh now. He's down in Parc Fermé with Jack Gorst.
Zonta, a crazy 5-lap race. How was that last lap battle for the win?
Yeah, crazy because at turn 6, David Alonso overtook me. And also yesterday I went the outside of the last turn, but lost 4 positions. So now I was smart and went on the inside. Somebody completely hit me, and on the exit, complete wobble, but still drag race to the line and still P1, so it's good.
Brilliant. Well done, Alonso. Great performance.
It's good.
In Dutch as well, please.
In Dutch. Now?
Yeah, that's it.
Ja, het was in de bocht 6 haalde David Alonso mij in. En toen volgde ik hem tot de laatste bocht. Gisteren dook ik aan de buitenkant. Nou was ik slimmer, ging ik aan de binnenkant. En toen kon ik hem inhalen. Iemand beukte toen in mijn achterkant. Helemaal wobbelen uit de laatste bocht. Maar toch met 13.000 aan de lijn gewonnen. Thank you.
Congratulations to Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, and this is your highlights from the race here on Sunday in Jerez. And it was Marco Morelli who got the whole shot into turn 1 with Zonta Van Den Goorbergh starting in second, and just saw turn 1 drama between a few of the riders. That was one of the British riders going down, as Zonta Van Den Goorbergh soon made his way up to the front, past Morelli into turn 6. There's a lead group of several riders formed in typical European Talent Group fashion. There we see Marcos Ruda, the number 69, making a lunge up the inside of turn 13, a place where we'd see drama later on in the race. Long lap penalty, 2 long lap penalties were given to that man, number 44, Hugo Milan, for jumping the start, and this was the crash. It brought out the red flags. Ferrari was thankfully confirmed okay later on, and this was the restart then. 5-lap dash, and Zonta Van Den Goorbergh got the launch from pole position. Morelli tried to go up the inside, but Zonta, a brilliant launch from P1. And it was 5 laps of European Talent Cup chaos. The riders all going gung-ho for glory. There's David Alonso making a double move up the inside. That's his teammate Ivan Artola. Zonta Van Den Goorbergh went defensive on the last lap, but David Alonso made his move into turn 6. Izan Guevara going for it as well. They got tight into the Dani Pedrosa squadron. This was where the drama happened. The last corner of the last lap, turn 13. Cruces high side in now, landing heavily with the two Team Estrella Galicia boys also crashing out, but further up the road, it was Zonta Van Den Goorbergh who picked up his first 25-point haul in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. David Alonso finished second. Izan Guevara finished third. And that was all she wrote for European Talent Cup action here in Jerez in 2020. There we can see Alberto Ferrandez looking a bit dejected as the number 54. He finished in 7th place, the man second in the championship, but shouldn't be too disheartened. He's in his rookie season. That's the first time he's finished outside of the top 5, so nothing to be downhearted about. It's all a learning curve, isn't it, for these riders? And of course he got a penalty for exceeding track limits on the last lap. He had to be demoted 1 position for that. Running wide there. We've seen it often here in Jerez, and we see it quite often throughout the races in FIM CEV Repsol and on the World Championship scene too. Unfortunately, rules are rules, and Ferrandez had to drop 1 position. So here's the final results then. Zonta Van Den Goorbergh won just from David Alonso and Izan Guevara, with Julio Garcia, Ruda, Juan Rodriguez, Ferrandez, Carpe and Voigt all finishing less than a second from the win in an amazing race here in Jerez. Colin Vaya completed the top 10 with Roberto Garcia, Marco Tapia, Romeo Sandoval, Hugo Milan and Daijiro Sacco completing the points, with Jacob John Ralston 8.4 off the win in 16th. Paulek finished 17th. Sharil, Ton and Blight Trias completed the top 20 with Bartholomew Perrin, Almanassel, Tyler Jacob Scott, Pashwick and Mario Meyer completing the top 25 riders. And the other finishers were Quinten Sands, Torin Collins, Damien Gigoloff, Amarai Mizera and Angel Piqueras, who was involved in that last corner incident. He managed to cross the line on his machine, and there you can see Adrian Cruces and Marco Morelli, the other 2 riders to go down at turn 13. Again, we send our best wishes to Adrian Cruces. As we now get ready for the 3rd European Talent Cup podium of the weekend, the first of Sunday and the only one of Sunday, and there we can see Izan Guevara picking up P3. Like I said before, his first rostrum finish since the opening race of 2020 in Estoril. Teammate David Alonso, he's used to coming up here, isn't he, the Colombian? He stands on the 2nd step of the podium, and for the first time, Zonta Van Den Goorbergh will line up on P1, stand on P1, and lift the P1 trophy. Great race from the Dutchman, great race from all 3 riders.
Yeah, cracking performances all round, really. Interesting that Zonta had absolutely no idea who hit him. I don't think he's been told yet who it was, but hopefully the guys that crashed out, they're all okay. Of course, we saw Piqueras eventually come across the line. So Guevara lifts the 3rd place trophy. David Alonso, for the 2nd time in 2020, takes just a 2nd place trophy, not too bad. And Zonta Van Den Goorbergh, that one will be going on the mantelpiece back home. P1 for the young Dutchman.
Nice €250 check for the Dutchman. That'll pay for some petrol.
Yeah, I'm sure
his dad travel around Europe, travel around Spain.
Maybe treat him to a McDonald's on the way back.
Oh yeah.
Okay, congratulations para Zonta Van Den Goorbergh.
So the lovely Dutch national anthem sings out across the Jerez circuit as these boys get ready to spray the fizzy water once again.
Hablamos de gaseosa, evidentemente, porque no llegamos a las edades, hablamos de 14 años, solo tienen esos
Some
primeros
technique
clasificados dentro de la
needs to be
categoría
improved on there,
Bunkers
but the technique with the motorcycle racing was pretty good.
Y ahora sí haremos la
So an
fotografía.
absolutely cracking 5-lap dash to the flag. It's settled with Zonta Van Den Goorbergh finally winning, and it means that he closes up in the championship now at 77 points in P3. David Alonso still leads on 140, with Alberto Ferrandez in second. Ivan Montella is fourth from Marco Morelli, the luckless Morelli, after crashing out with his teammate. And Cruces there at the end, with Tapia in 8th, and Juan Rodriguez in 9th. Harrison Voigt, the Australian line, is in 10th for the championship with Julio Garcia, Alvaro Carpe, the young 13-year-old, Jerez Sacco, Adrian Cruces, Matteo Volpi, Filippo Farioli. Hopefully he is all okay. Obviously we had the rider okay. And Colin Via in 17th. Roberto Garcia is 18th in the championship with Noah Detweiler, Jacob John Ralston, Romeo Sandoval, Hugo Milan, who had those 2 long lap penalties for the jump start in the first part of that race, with Dean Berta, Philip Ton and Justin Foucault rounding out the point scorers in the championship. So there he is, absolutely superb on the Team Superb Honda. Zonta Van Den Goorbergh picks up his first ever European Talent Cup victory. He's closing in the championship, but it still is firmly in the grip of David Alonso, the number 80. Second place behind him, just 13 thousandths behind. It's like class action in Hawker's European Talent Cup as always. But Zonta, it seems as though we have a new challenger to the 2020 crown.